How is it going, everybody? This is RBT coming at you with my 2013 Big Ten Conference preview / prediction video for the upcoming college football season. Much like my SEC video, I'm going to predict the standings for each division in the Big Ten. I will give a dark horse who I believe might shock the world and could possibly win the conference. And possibly, I have the records right here I have for each team, so I'll probably give them out as I talk about each team. So after I do the standings, like the SEC video, I'll talk a little bit about each team and what I expect from them in the upcoming season. And I'll try not to make this as long as I did the SEC video. I made it very, very long, like 40-something minutes, and I don't want to do that with this video. So bear with me. I'll try my best, and I'll try to keep it short and simple for you guys. So starting in the Leaders Division, I'm not sure if they're changing the name to the divisions this upcoming year or the next year, but I'll call it the Leaders for right now. Going from 6 to 1 in the division. Coming in at number 6, I have Illinois. At number 5, I have Indiana. At number 4, I have Penn State. Number 3, I have Purdue. 2, Wisconsin. And winning the Leaders Division, I have Ohio State. Moving on to the Legends Division. Coming in last place in the Legends Division, I have Minnesota. In 5th place, Iowa. 4th place, which is probably very, very surprising, but it came down to a head-to-head matchup, and they have a really good record. And I have Nebraska here. Actually, 4 Nebraska fans come at me and hate me. I have them going 9-3, so it's not bad, but they have some tough competition here in the Big Ten Legends Division. And number 3, I have Northwestern. 2, Michigan. And 1, winning the Legends Division, I have Michigan State. So there we go with that. I'm going to start talking about the Big Ten Leaders Division first, starting with the team I have winning the Leaders, Ohio State. Give you the record. I actually have them going 11-1, 7-1 in Big Ten play. And I know some of you guys believe Ohio State can go undefeated. I just don't think they're bringing back enough of their defense to do so. They're only bringing back 4 starters on the defensive side of the football. They bring back 9 guys on the offensive side of the football. And I believe the lackluster, that's not the right word there, the inexperience on the defensive side of the football. I know they have the talent there, but just the pure inexperience, I believe, will lose them a game or two this season. And I actually have them losing a shocker here to Northwestern. Don't take anything away from Northwestern. I think they're going to be a heck of a team. I'll talk about them in a little bit. But I see them definitely losing a game like to Northwestern. It could be any game on their schedule, but I at least see them losing one game. That's why I have them at 11-1. But like I said, they bring back 9 guys on the offensive side of the football, 4 on the defensive side of the football. Nobody's questioning the offensive ability of Ohio State. They have many playmakers in the team, starting with the Heisman candidate Braxton Miller. Carlos Hyde's a great senior running back coming back. Good receivers with Jeff Human, Devin Smith, Corey Brown, so on and so forth. And experienced defensive or offensive line rather. And like I said, just the inexperience and defensive side of the football is what gives the question mark to this Ohio State team, actually leading to a 12-0 record going into the national championship. So it's going to be tough for Ohio State. I mean, they do have a very easy schedule. So, I mean, to a point, I guess I wouldn't be surprised if they lost the game. But I think, with a gut feeling, I do think they lose one game. And I have them actually losing to Northwestern at Northwestern. So, there you have it for Ohio State. Let's move on to Wisconsin. I have them going 10-2, 7-1 in conference play. 2 losses I have coming to Arizona State, which is at Arizona State, and the other loss is to Ohio State, which is at Ohio State. So this is Gary Anderson's first year at Wisconsin. Wisconsin, they're a heck of a good team. They're 8 and they bring back 8 guys on the offensive side of the football, 6 on the defensive side of the football. They were 8, and that's kind of funny because they were 8-6 last year. They bring back 8 offensive starters on the offensive side of the football and 6 on the defensive side of the football. Thought that was kind of funny. But they were 8-6 last year, and they very, very easily could have gone undefeated. They gave Stanford all they could handle in the Rose Bowl. They just had so many overtime losses, so many close losses, that they very easily could have been a national championship contending team last year. but they fell on the wrong side of a bunch of close games. But they bring, like I said, a lot of talent back from that team last year. They do lose their biggest playmaker, though, in Monte Ball, sorry, couldn't think there. But they do have James White coming back, Melvin Gordon coming back. Two very, very good running backs. They'll probably be the most talented running back duo in the Big Ten. So watch out for Wisconsin. They could be a surprise team to win the Big Ten. It wouldn't surprise me at all with the talent they have coming back. But like I said, pretty tough schedule. Probably one of the toughest schedules in the Big Ten. But like I said, I'll go with Wisconsin going 10-2, coming in second place in the Big Ten. They also have a tough game late on in the season against BYU. Watch out for that, because BYU is going to be a nasty team this year. So let's move on to number 3. I have the Purdue Boilermakers. Even at number 3 in the division, I have them going 5-7, 3-5 in conference play. And the reason I have them above Penn State is I actually have them beating Penn State, so that gives them the head-to-head matchup. Also have Penn State at 3-5 in conference play. So Purdue, like I said, 5-7, have them losing to Missouri. Sorry. I am definitely on the wrong page of my book here. Okay, sorry. Have them losing to Notre Dame, Wisconsin, Northern Illinois, which would be an upset there, but Northern Illinois is very, very good with their returning quarterback Jordan Lynch. Nebraska losses to Michigan State, Iowa State, and Iowa. So themselves, they have a very, very tough schedule, especially out of conference with Cincinnati, Notre Dame, Northern Illinois. None of those games are cakewalks by any means. So I guess I can go ahead and tell you the wins. I have Cincinnati being the win, Indiana State, Penn State, Illinois, and Indiana have them winning the last 3 games of the season. But one of the main reasons I have Purdue coming in 3rd place in the Big Ten Leaders Division, which isn't that great coming in at 5-7, is the new head coach Darrell Hazel. He just knows how to coach fundamental football. Coming from Kent State last year, they almost made a BCS bowl. They did have a really talented running back duo there at Kent State, which also will be back this year. I think they have enough coming back on the defensive side of the football to win a few big games in the Big Ten. They have 8 guys coming back on the defensive side of the football, 5 on the offensive side of the football. Rob Henry, a senior, is going to be coming back and going to be the starting quarterback this year. Have some talented wide receivers in Gary Bush, Delapo McCarthy, and O.J. Ross. But they did lose that big guy on the D-line, which I cannot remember his name, so that'll be hard to replace. But all in all, Purdue, fundamental team, has a great coach, which I think will bring Purdue back up to what they were in the Drew. Well, not necessarily all the way up to the Drew Brees years, but they'll be more successful than they've been in years past with Darrell Hazel as the head coach. We'll just see how he can recruit against other Big Ten teams. But I don't see Purdue making a bowl game this year. They went 6-7 last year. Was absolutely annihilated in their bowl game against Oklahoma State. That was a terrible, terrible matchup for Purdue. But like I said, got them going 5-7 and 3-5 in Big Ten play. Moving on, finally, to number 4 in the Big Ten Leaders Division, I have Penn State. Have them going 5-7, 3-5 in conference play. Losses coming against Central Florida, Kent State, which I just mentioned a second ago, which some Penn State fans are probably going to yell at me about that. Michigan, Ohio State, Purdue, Nebraska, and Wisconsin. So not really an easy schedule for Penn State either. And their first game also was a toss-up for Penn State. They play against Syracuse. The only really easy wins I see coming against for Penn State is Minnesota, Illinois, and Eastern Michigan. Indiana, I believe, can be a trap game there the week before they play Michigan. But Bill O'Brien, we all know, he definitely overperformed. They overachieved his first year as head coach. And well-deserving. He got high praises for that. They ended up going 8-4. And from that team, they bring back 8 starters on the offensive side of the football, 6 on the defensive side of the football. And a big thing is to gauge Penn State's success this upcoming season is the performance of their freshman quarterback, Christian Hackenberg, which was highly praised by many Penn State fans and many media reporters and the media as a whole, because he was very talented. I think he was the top-rated pro-style quarterback on ESPN's list. Not sure about the other recruiting services, but Christian Hackenberg, he is talented. Played very well in the Army Bowl game. I actually got to see that. They also bring back their white running back, Zach Swinak, who he was pretty impressive last year, and they're one of the best wide receivers, I believe, in the Big Ten, and Allen Robinson. So it's gonna be, it's gonna be a talented team, but I think they lost too much on the defense side of the football. Some of their best players, and the depth is gonna be lost over the next few years. So they're not going to be a bad team, but it's not really going to show because of the schedule that they play and the depth losses that they're going to have over the years period. If Christian Hackenberg comes in and plays very, very well, kind of like how Matt McGloin played last year in the system, they could be a 6-7 win team, maybe even 8. But I don't see that happening as of right now because I haven't seen Christian Hackenberg step on a college football field. So with that said, like I said, I have Penn State going 5-7. Moving on to number 5, I have the Indiana Hoosiers going also 5-7, but the reason they're behind Purdue and Penn State is I have them going 2-6 in conference play. So their losses I have coming against Missouri. See, I was on my wrong page. That's why I was saying that for Purdue. Sorry about that. But I have Indiana losing to Missouri, Penn State, at Michigan State, at Michigan, at Wisconsin, at Ohio State, and Purdue. So, also a little tough schedule for them. They do have a lot of games is really toss-up for them because, they could they're going to win against Indiana State. That's obvious. Navy's a toss-up game. They've just kind of struggled with Navy in years past. They actually lost last year. And they've been pretty competitive against Illinois. Missouri, I think, is a loss. Bowling Green could even be a tough game for Indiana. Minnesota, Illinois, toss-up. So it could be a lot better for Indiana, or it could be a lot worse. But I think they're going to be talented. Kevin Wilson has a pretty good team coming back. Very, very experienced. One of the most experienced teams coming back in the Big Ten, actually. 10 returning starters on the offensive side of the football and 9 returning starters on the defensive side of the football. So a lot of experience, like I said. So it's just going to be, if that experience is going to be enough to beat teams and maybe even pull out upsets, like maybe beating Penn State, maybe grabbing a game, big time upset like maybe one out of Michigan State or Michigan or Ohio State. And we'll just have to see. But like I said, it could be a lot better than 5-7 or a lot worse than 5-7 for Indiana. But they do have some good players coming back. I think Nate Sudfeld will be a pretty good quarterback in the Indiana air raid type offense. And like I said, a lot of experience. Going to be a pretty good team for Kevin Wilson. I think Indiana's not necessarily where they were 7-8 years ago, but under Kevin Wilson, I think they're going to be getting a lot better in Indiana. So let's move on to the last place team in the Big Ten, which is the Illinois Fighting Illini. So Illinois, I have going the same as they did last year, same record, 2-10, 0-8 in Big Ten play, and it was kind of hard for me because I think they have a pretty good amount of talent coming back. I think they're going to be better than they were last year, but pretty tough schedule for Illinois. A bunch of toss-up games, kind of like Indiana. It could be a lot better than 2-10, depending on how their defense plays, or it could be. I don't really think it can get any worse than 2-10 for Illinois, but you get my drift. They could overperform my expectations. But they, like I said, have a lot of out-of-conference games that's kind of questionable. Southern Illinois should be an easy win. I can go ahead and tell you my losses for them. I have them losing to Cincinnati, Washington, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Michigan State, at Penn State, at Indiana, Ohio State, at Purdue, and home against Northwestern to end out the year. I think Cincinnati is a toss-up game, as Washington State have them beating Miami, Ohio, but that also could be a possible toss-up game. So the only for sure, no doubter on the schedule win is against Southern Illinois. But aside from that, maybe I could see 2 upsets, maybe a win against Purdue or Ohio State, or not Ohio State, sorry, Indiana. But I think Illinois is a few years away. I think Tim Beckman coming over from Toledo in his second year as head coach, he has them going in the right direction. They got the transfer from Oklahoma State, Wes Lunt, who's going to be starting next year after Nathan Shieldhouse leaves. Nathan Shieldhouse is a guy that he can run around. Let me talk about him for a minute. He can run around. He has a decent arm. He's actually kind of underrated. He doesn't make too many mistakes, but if he can cut down the interceptions, he can be a very effective quarterback and maybe, like I said, lead them to an upset or two. And Spencer Harris, Ron Lankford, they do actually have they have good talent at the skill position levels. Like Donovan Young, he's an underrated running back in the Big Ten. Spencer Harris, good wide receiver. Ron Lankford, good wide receiver. Two seniors. So, I mean, Illinois, good offense, but the defense wasn't good last year, and it won't be any better because they only bring back 4 starters. So that's going to be a big question because their defense, like I said, really struggled last year. So if they can get some good talent on the defensive side of the football in the next few years, I don't think their offense is going to be a problem. But like I said, the defense needs to be vastly improved to be competitive in the Big Ten once again, like we're in the Juice Williams days. So I guess we can finally move on to the Big Ten Legends division, and this is where my dark horse is, and it'll come up in just a minute. But let's go ahead and start with Michigan State, who I have going 10-2, 7-1 in Big Ten play. I have them losing to Notre Dame, which is at Notre Dame, and home against Michigan. I think actually South Florida will be a tough game home early against them. I think they'll kind of overlook South Florida, but I think they should get the win in that game. But we all know Mark D'Antonio's teams are going to have great defenses, going to run the ball a lot, always going to be competitive. So won't surprise me at all if Michigan State wins the Big Ten Legends division. They have 8 guys returning on offense, 7 on defense. So they're going to be pretty stout. They have one of the best linebackers in the country in Max Bullock. So they just have talent all over the field. Andrew Maxwell coming back as the starting quarterback. He'll be a senior this year. They do lose their running back. He's the hurdler, as they call him. Sorry, his name slipped my mind there. Le'Veon Bell, the hurdler. But they bring back some pretty good wide receivers. Aaron Burridge, Benny Fowler, Keith Mumphrey. A pretty good experienced offensive line coming back. 2 seniors, 2 juniors, have 1 sophomore starting on the offensive line. They actually have a new kicker this year, Michael Gelger. But like I said, Michigan State's always going to be talented. They have good defensive players coming back, a sound offense. We know they're going to run the ball, be fundamental, not turn the ball over too much. And if Andrew Maxwell can take a stride from last year, take a big leap in his development, they possibly could beat Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game. So, like I said, Michigan State had them going 10-2, 7-1 in conference play. So moving on to number 2 in the division, I have Michigan going 9-3, 6-2 in Big Ten play. Losses coming against Notre Dame, Northwestern, and Ohio State. So 9-3 in Big Ten play. 9-3 overall, and 6-2 in Big Ten play. They returned 6 guys on offense and 6 players on defense. And as we all know, they lost starting quarterback, or whatever you want to call him, starting wide receiver, running back, quarterback, Denard Robinson, the guy who's been the face of the team the last couple of years. But that can honestly be a good thing for him, or it could be a bad thing. I actually think down the road, in the next few years, Evan Gardner is going to turn out to be a more effective quarterback than Denard Robinson. He doesn't have the wheels that he does, but he has an arm that Denard Robinson can never dream of having. Denard Robinson, he's still mobile. He can run the ball, but he better fits the pro-style type offense that head coach Brady Hoke wants to run. And this is actually his 3rd year at Michigan, and I see them improving from their 8-5 record last year. Like I said, have them at 9-3. Many toss-up games as well. Notre Dame, it could possibly be a win. I just think Notre Dame's gonna win early on in the season. Northwestern, I believe, is going to be a trap game in between when they play Ohio State. They're going to be looking ahead, and Northwestern, like I said, very, very talented. And it's not really just that they're a trap game; it's that they're that talented, and they're playing at Northwestern, which isn't. It's like a sleepy type environment there, so they still do have a home field advantage there. And I think Ohio State will grab the victory at the end of the season next year. But they have some talented players. They're Michigan. They're always going to recruit well. Brady Hoke's been leading one of the best recruiting teams in the country in Michigan. Their starting running back this year is going to be Derek Green, the freshman. So it's going to be really fun to see how he plays. And I think he's going to strive in that offense. He's going to be very good. Some pretty talented wide receivers come back as well. Jeremy Gallen, he's going to be the senior, and Drew Dillio, also a senior, coming back. Actually, it's a quite young offensive line. They have a sophomore, 2 redshirt freshmen, and they have 2 seniors at the tackle position. So the interior line for Michigan is going to be quite inexperienced. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see how the running game with the freshmen, how they can fare with the interior linemen being quite experienced, so and quite young. So it's gonna be fun to watch. Michigan's gonna be a fun team to watch. No question about that. But it's just gonna be whether they can take the next step and beat teams like Ohio State, Wisconsin, Nebraska, Michigan State, so on and so forth. But it's gonna be a good overall season for Michigan. A lot of talent coming back, having going 9-3 to 6-2 in Big Ten play. And moving on to number 3 in the division, and I think you probably got my hints throughout the video. I have my dark horse who has the possibilities to win the Big Ten in Northwestern, 9-3. I have them going 5-3 in Big Ten play. The reason I have them above Nebraska, Nebraska is number 4, same record, but I have Northwestern winning the head-to-head against Nebraska. But like I said, dark horse to win the Big Ten. Had to pick a team, and it definitely shown to be Northwestern. Bring back 8 guys on offense, 7 on defense. And like I said, I have a bunch of what will be considered upsets for Northwestern. They have a kind of tough schedule at the start of the season, against Cal and Syracuse, and they should get the W's in those 2 games. But like I said, I have them beating Nebraska and Michigan, and possibly even Michigan State, but I did get the loss there. I don't think they win 3 straight against those 3 tough teams, and they should end out very easily against Illinois. But the losses, I can tell you real quick: Ohio State, at Wisconsin, and home against Michigan State late in the year. But they have probably one of the best running back quarterback duos in the whole entire Big Ten, in Kane Coulter and Benrick Mark, 2 seniors. And if they want to get it done, Northwestern, and shock the world, this is the year to do so, because they're not going to have 2 talented players at those 2 really important skill positions in a very long time. Kane Coulter can run the football, can throw the football, he can do whatever you want out of him. And Benrick Mark the same. He runs like crazy. He had, let me tell you real quick, he had 1,400 yards from scrimmage last year, including 12 touchdowns. And Kane Coulter almost had 1,000 yards rushing last year at 996, also 12 yards on the ground. 12 touchdowns on the ground. So very, very talented duo coming back, and I believe they really can shock the world. Christian Jones is a really good receiver as well, alongside with senior Rashad Lawrence and Tony Jones. And a decent offensive line coming back for Northwestern, and they bring back 7 guys on the defensive side of the football. They actually went 10-3 last year, so they were a pretty good team last year. And I know the record doesn't really show it this year. I think they're a better team than last year. They do have a really tough schedule. They pull Ohio State and Wisconsin out of the leaders division, so that kind of sucks for them. As last year, I don't believe they played either. Yeah, they didn't play either of those 2 teams last year, so that's why their record was a little bit better last year. But like I said, being the better team this year compared to last year, I think they have the possibility to go out and shock the world, and maybe even win the Big Ten or the Big Ten Legends division. But we'll have to see. I'm not going to go out on a limb and give that prediction now, because I think I'll get more haters than Justin Bieber. But let's just go with Northwestern coming in 3rd place in the Big Ten division, Big Ten Legends division, because that's a pretty good feat right there, nonetheless. Moving on to number 4, who I'll probably get the most hate in this video, is Nebraska, having going 9-3, 5-3 in Big Ten play. Let me tell you real quick who their losses are against. Have them losing 3 straight, actually, to Northwestern, at Michigan, and Michigan State. Northwestern, not only, like I said, being a trap game, because they play at Michigan the next week. Sorry, somebody is messaging me a lot on Skype. But that's a tough 3-game stretch right there. Northwestern, at Michigan, and Michigan State. And the first 4 games aren't too easy for Nebraska either. Or the first 3, sorry. They play Wyoming, which Wyoming's been pretty good in the last few years. Brett Smith, pretty good quarterback there, so That could be a shocker there, but I'm not going to go out on a limb and say that. Southern Miss is going to be vastly improved from last year. 0-12 last year, but I could see them possibly going to a bowl game this year. So that's not a cakewalk either. And then UCLA will be a very, very tough game. Nebraska actually was beat by UCLA last year 30-36. That was at UCLA, so I believe they returned the favor this year and beat UCLA at home in Lincoln. But let me check who this is on Skype real fast, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, sorry about that. Where was I? I was talking about UCLA, but the losses, like I said, 3 straight: Northwestern, Michigan, Michigan State. They returned 8 guys on offense, 4 on defense. They went 10-4 last year. Was absolutely throttled in the Big Ten championship game. The first one, actually, 31-70 by Wisconsin. So that was a disappointment for Nebraska fans to say the least. But Taylor Martinez is coming back. Seems like he's been at Nebraska for 50 million years. But he's a talented quarterback. He's improved his throwing motion, his passing as a whole, vastly. And I mean that wholeheartedly. And we all know he can run like a deer. So his running ability won't be a question, but it's to see how much he actually improves from his junior year, which was successful. I can tell you his stats right here. He actually threw for, where is it at? Actually, I might not be able to tell you because I did not take good notes here. Oh, here we go. He threw for 2,871 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. So he does have a little more interceptions that you want out of him, but that is improved from years past. And like I said, it just depends on how he improves from his junior to senior seasons. And if he makes a big stride as he did his sophomore and junior year, he could be very, very dangerous. And he's a dark horse Heisman candidate too. So watch out for Taylor Martinez because he can put up some big numbers. And they do have some great players around him as well. Amir Abdullah is one of the best running backs in the Big Ten, I believe. Kenny Bell, one of the best wide receivers in the Big Ten, I believe. So they have talent all around. Taylor Martinez, pretty good offensive line coming back, senior led, 4 seniors on the offensive line, and the other is a junior, I believe. Yep, the left guard, Jake Cotton, is a junior. But they do have to replace a lot on the defensive side of the football. They have a lot of freshmen starting. They have 4 freshmen starting on the defense. So it's going to be an inexperienced defense coming back. So the seniors in that defense have to take notes, have to step up, be a leader if they want to have a successful defense this year. Because I know they have a bitter taste in their mouth after that Big Ten championship game where they gave up 70 points. They definitely want to improve from that. And I think under Bo Pelini they will. They'll always have a decent defense under Bo Pelini, trying to bring back those black shirts. So Nebraska have them going 9-3, 5-3 in Big Ten play. And I want to apologize once again. I said this in my SEC video. I'm talking for a very long time, so don't expect my speech to be absolutely perfect throughout the whole entire video. I mean, it's kind of hard here, but I'm doing my absolute best, and I hope you appreciate that. So moving on, number 5, I have Iowa going 3-9, 1-7 in Big Ten play, and I know I'll get a lot of hate from all the Iowa fans, but I just don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see why Kirk Ferentz is such a highly praised coach around those areas. I mean, he's had some good years, but the last few years have not been great at all at Iowa. The losses I have coming against Week 1 against Northern Illinois, at Iowa State, home against Michigan State, at Ohio State, Northwestern, Wisconsin, at Purdue, Michigan, and at Nebraska. So a tough schedule for Iowa as they draw the 2 best teams out of the Leaders Division, which is Ohio State and Wisconsin. So they might be a little bit better than their record I have here indicates, as their game against Northern Illinois is not a cakewalk at all. I mean, they could beat Northern Illinois, but I think Northern Illinois is going to be better than they were last year, but don't actually see them undefeated, so that doesn't really make sense. But anyways, I want to bring back 6 on the offensive side of the football, 7 on the defensive side of the football. New quarterback Cody Skull is going to be here, so we'll get to see how he is. Let us see. Mark Wiseman's going to be back. He was the walk-on last year Iowa was down. They lost so many running backs to injuries last year, and they have to put in Mark Wiseman, who is, I think, if I remember correctly, a fullback converted to a running back. So, but he played very, very well last year. He averaged over 5 yards per carry, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, 5.1 yards per carry. He had 837 yards from scrimmage, and they also bring back their second string running back, Damian Bullock, who had 540 yards from scrimmage and averaged 3.8 yards per carry. So decent running back there coming back. So, and also they have one of the best tight ends in the Big Ten, CJ Fedoritz. I don't want to annihilate his name there, but that's the best I can do. CJ Fedoritz. So I do think they're not going to be as good as a 3-4-8 record last year. I don't think they're going to match that. They didn't have to play Ohio State or Wisconsin last year, so that was the reason why. They actually did beat Northern Illinois last year. They're Northern Illinois' only blemish on their schedule last year. So I think Northern Illinois will actually repay the favor this year and beat them week 1. But as I said, they're going to be a little experience coming with a new quarterback. Quarterback hasn't been the best position coming out of Iowa, but running the football, they'll be a better team than the 3-9 record shows just because of the tough schedule. And like I said, for many of these teams, don't be surprised if they pull an upset or two. And don't be surprised if they lose a game if they're not supposed to. Don't see them losing to Missouri State. Maybe against a team like Western Michigan, maybe lose to a team like Minnesota. But we'll just have to see. And they also can pull up some upsets. So they're a pretty good team, but tough schedule, 3-9. Don't expect a lot more out of them. So moving on to the very last team and my Big Ten Legends division out of this whole prediction video is the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Have them going 3-9, 0-8 in conference play. Have them winning their first 3 games of the season, which they have a quite easy out-of-conference schedule for the first 3 games. UNLV at New Mexico and against Western Illinois. And then I have them losing their last non-conference game against San Jose State because they're supposed to be one of the possible BCS busters this year. David Bell's supposed to be an insane quarterback. I did get to see him. I haven't really heard of him, and I saw all this preseason hype about him and went back and watched his highlights from last year. And he's a really, really good quarterback, to say the least. NFL scouts are absolutely drooling about him. But losses, I guess I can tell you they have them losing the last 9 to end the year, which isn't a great end to a season, I wouldn't say, as a Minnesota fan. But I have them losing to San Jose State, Iowa, at Michigan, at Northwestern, Nebraska, at Indiana, Penn State, Wisconsin, and Michigan State. And the only games I could see them possibly pulling an upset and winning is maybe against Indiana or Penn State, and maybe against Iowa. And like I said, maybe against San Jose State, but I think San Jose State's going to win that game. But they are experienced. They really are. They bring back 10 offensive guys, offensive starters, and 6 guys on the defense side of the ball. And the biggest loss is their quarterback, Marquise Gray, who was really a playmaker for them in the past couple of years. He could run the ball, wasn't really consistent passing the ball, but he was a playmaker. Philip Nelson did play a little bit last year as a freshman, and he played and wasn't very successful, but he did actually start at quarterback a little bit more than Marquise Gray did. But Marquise Gray, nobody will deny the fact that he was not a playmaker. He threw for Philip Nelson threw for 873 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions, only completing 49% of his passes. So he does have to make a big stride in his development if Minnesota wants to pull some of these upsets. But I mean, I have them at 3-9 right now, but with the experience coming back, I wouldn't be surprised if they pick an upset or two out of these couple games. And that's just hard to predict, really, is upset. So have them sitting at 3-9, but I think the top them out at 5-7. But yeah, hopefully, not to be rude, but hopefully they won't have any tough games and Jerry Kill will remain healthy throughout the whole entire season. Because that's terrible on your health to have seizures on the side of the field. That's gotta be an awful experience, not only as himself as the head coach, the whole entire team, fans, and that's just terrible. But they have some talented players, they really do. Derek Wells coming back, a good corner. He's going to be a junior this year. Have a couple seniors on the defensive side of the ball. Running the 4-3 scheme by Jerry Kill. Actually, they have 1, 2, 3 seniors coming back on the defensive side of the football. Offensive line is pretty young. They have a sophomore, redshirt freshman, 2 juniors, and a true senior, and Ed Olson coming back as the left tackle. And that's I guess you can call that a quits on Michigan. Best player on the offensive side of the football for Michigan, or for Minnesota. I think I've been saying Michigan this whole time. If I've been saying Michigan, I'm sorry. I apologize. But for Minnesota, if I had to pick, to give them one more thing, I will say Donnell Kirkwood is their best returning offensive player. The junior running back, he about topped 1,000 yards on the ground last year. And I'm interested to see how many yards rushing Marquise Gray had last year. He had 445. So there you go. He did run the ball quite a bit, and he did actually catch a few balls. He had 12 receptions for 121 yards, so he did it all. I really did like Marquise Gray. I don't think he ended up on the NFL team at all, but there you have it, guys. There's my Big Ten Conference prediction / preview video. Hope you enjoyed. And I'm sure I'm gonna get some hate. I always do it on my videos. I probably anger a lot of fan bases, but that's what I do. That's what I'm doing here on YouTube. So it's my opinion. Hope you respect it. Please leave a comment in the comment section below with what you disagreed with, what you think the standings will end up as, and I'll definitely respect your opinion. That's how it goes here on YouTube. That's how I go about things. So there you have it. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hope you're looking forward to my videos coming up. That's only 2 conferences. Tomorrow I'll come at you with my Big 12 prediction, and then ACC, then Pac-12, then the American Athletic Conference, and I'll do one video for all of the non-BCS teams. Hope you're looking forward to that. Please subscribe so you will not miss any of my conference prediction videos. Have a great day, and as always, roll tide, go Sox, and go Titans too. I will see you.